Will tell us when they should have bunted, Greg Maddox, and when they shouldn't have bunted, Dave Weathers. And from bad weathers to bad weather must be the extreme games. No, actually these are the extreme games. It's almost like NASCAR. This is almost like baseball. This is almost like defense. Don't bother looking us up in the TV guide or phoning the 900 number because we're ready to go right now. My tag team partner is here, and so am I. Just give us enough rope on SportsCenter. Next. Hello and welcome to the big show alongside my tag team partner Dan Patrick. I'm Keith Olbermann.
Coming up on SportsCenter, the Expos' Carlos Perez is hospitalized after being hit by a foul ball. We will update his condition. We will tell you why Unser is spelled with a D and a Q. Barry Bonds doesn't shy away from the questions in our Sunday conversation. We don't start with Barry Bonds, but we do begin in his division.
Yeah, a few home runs at least. 4 homers in a game is nothing. Not by contrast anyway. A dozen guys have done it, everybody from Lou Gehrig to Willie Mays to Pat Seary. But in the 125 seasons of big league ball, no one had ever hit 4 homers in 4 consecutive innings. Only 3 guys had ever hit homers in 3 consecutive innings, and nobody had done that since Larry Parrish 17 years ago. Sunday, that threshold was challenged. At Jack Murphy, Joy Luck Club. This isn't today's newspaper, is it? These highlights are fresh, though. Top of the first, Larry Walker hits the ball real hard off Scott Sanders over the palm trees, and it's 2-0 Rockies with a man on board. And then Dante Bichette gets it backwards, acknowledges the applause from the fans, then catches the ball. No, the other way around. Still 2-zip in the third. Bases loaded. 1 out. Vinny Castilla. Oh, full extension. Jody Reed, and he gets the double play. 4-6 if you're scoring at home. Or even, you know. 6th inning. Here's Galarraga. Whoa. There goes Galarraga. It was a 2-1 game. It is now a 4-1 game. He hit that one pretty hard. Then in the next inning, the 7th inning, he hit this one a little bit harder off Willie Blair. That would be his 11th homer of the year. Rockies up 6-1. Then in the top 8th off Fernando. Liftoff, we have liftoff. Into the second deck, maybe the 3rd or 4th longest homer ever at Jack Murphy. 3 innings, 3 homers. Top of the 9th, Larry Walker up with 2 men out and Galarraga on deck. Walker strikes out, and history we'll never know about because Galarraga did not come up for the 4th consecutive opportunity. Never got it. He'll have to be satisfied with tying a major league record, becoming the 4th guy ever to do 3 in 3 innings. The big cat had been on a slump that had seen him hit just 154 in his last 10 games. This is now over. Career highs with the 3 homers and the 7 RBI, and the Rockies held on to their part of first in the West. At Cincinnati, Jose Rio hoping to avoid surgery. Right now just trying to avoid losing 3-0. And he did not do that. Kurt Abbott trots home on the Conine single. More trouble in the 4th. A wild pitch. Russ Moorman. Russ Moorman goes to second. Forever young. Then facing the pitcher, David Weathers, slashes it down the line. Well, nearly down the line. Moorman, they're not gonna get him. 4-0 Marlins. Rio goes after 4. But Weathers is the story against Eddie Taubensee. Upstairs and have a seat. No hitter through 5. But then in the 6th, Charles Johnson on first. David can't bunt. Nailed in the pinky and cut away from this. He's gushing blood all over the nice clean AstroTurf. They had to take him out of the game. Terry Matthews comes in relief. Had a no-hitter. Gave it away, but still got Reggie Sanders with the check swing. The solo highlight for the Reds was the solo blast from Eric Anthony, who this time last week had none this year. It landed eventually off the fascia. The Marlins win 5-1. As to Mr. Rio, he said afterwards he felt no pain in his troublesome elbow. That was supposed to be the make-or-break start. As to Weathers, 7 stitches. No word on the long-term prognosis, but he's still looking for his first complete game after 39 major league starts. This one obviously was not his fault. Rio, as we said, no pain. And if the cortisone shots work, if he can manage the pain, if there are no problems the next couple of days, no surgery. Otherwise, see you in 96. Dan?
We stay in the National League, where Greg Maddox, when he moved from Chicago to Atlanta in 1993, did not leave behind his ability to beat the Mets. As a Cub, Maddox won 13 games against New York. Now as a Brave, the 3-time Cy Young winner has defeated the Mets 4 more times, giving him 17 career victories at New York's expense. On Sunday, Maddox was asking the Mets to give it the office once again. To Atlanta, where the ERA leader ran into trouble early. Top first, 2 outs, 2 men aboard for Ryan Thompson. The little dribbler, Joe Orsulak, coming plateward. He will score. The ball keeps rolling. Next batter, Jeff Kent, who has been en fuego. Rico Brogna scores. Mets take a 2-0 lead on Maddox. Maddox would settle down. He's one of the best athletes in the game. Gold Glover. Blauser hangs tough at second, turns the 1-6-3 double play. The rains came. An hour and 6 minutes later, Maddox back on the mound.
Rolls to the bag, race for the
trying to slide, trying to tackle, trying to do something to prevent Todd Hundley from getting to first. Hundley wasn't pleased. Maddox says, I hurt my rear end. Then watch Rafael Belliard starting for Mark Lemke. Belliard goes airborne for the 4-3 putout on Rico Brogna. The Braves tied the game at 2. Then in the 5th, Ryan Klesko, biggest hit of the game, waits on the breaking ball, brings in Dave Justice. Braves win 4-2. Maddox, his 5th straight decision. I guess you can say he scattered 10 hits. Harness dropped his 3rd straight. The Braves are the only National League team yet to be shut out this season. The Phils needed to win in St. Louis to stay 5 up on the Braves. Charlie Hayes, top 3rd, 2 men aboard. Gone.
Well hit.
Yes, it is. Tom Urbani gives it up, fills up 4-0. Bottom 4, Tyler Green. Having a tremendous rookie season, helping himself out at the plate. The RBI double. 5-0 Phils. If not for Hideo Nomo, you'd be hearing about Tyler Green as the top rookie pitcher. Green pitching well, getting the whiff. Langford again. Langford again. Jim Fregosi pulls Green after 8 2/3. Bases loaded. Heath clips Slocum in for the final out, facing Bernard Gilkey, the pinch hitter. Slocum with 18 saves, gives up the base hit. The Cards would make it 5-3. 2 runs come in, Green looking on. Trip Cromer, the whiff. Slocum gets his 19th, leads the National League. The Phillies win. Everybody's happy. Green, who leads the majors with 4 complete games, came within an out of his 5th. Philadelphia is now 19 games over 500. To Olympic Stadium, the Expos and the Bucks. Kevin Young, a lot of work. Bottom of the 2nd, runner at first. Esteban Loaiza gets Cordero to ground to Young, the 5-4-3 double play. 2 runners aboard. Loaiza gets Moise Alou to ground to Young, 5-4-3 double play. Still 1-0 Pirates. Jeff Facero pitching well, facing who else? Kevin Young. It's mandatory. He is in every highlight. Facero then gets Orlando Merced. Kevin Young was in the building. Esteban Loaiza not happy being yanked 1-0. The Pirate defense held fort. Bottom 9, runner at second. Guess who? Kevin Young gets Moise Alou, gets his man. A scary moment, though, in this game. Darren Fletcher. The foul ball into the Montreal dugout. Carlos Perez deflected the ball with his hand, but the ball ricocheted off the back of the dugout, hitting Perez in the head. Perez was unconscious for about 3 minutes, taken off on a stretcher, was taken to the hospital, but we're happy to say he is not expected to miss his next start. Carlos Garcia's 3rd inning single stretched his hit streak to 19 games, so all 3 games in this series were shutouts. The Expos have lost 9 of 11. As for Facero, he was the first National League pitcher to win 7 games, but he has now dropped 4 in a row. He hasn't pitched well lately, but as you can see, his mates have not added much support to his lost cause.
In the American, the rumors had just begun to crest that White Sox manager Terry Bevington might follow his predecessor Gene Lamont, and that the White Sox wanted Tony La Russa back, or maybe Indians coach Buddy Bell, to manage the talented but lifeless team. And then the Sox hosted Cleveland this weekend, and strange things started to happen. Chi Sox 15.5 behind the Tribe, but looking for a sweep. Up 1-0. Bottom of the 2nd, 1st and 2nd. Martinez is a play at 3rd against Kruk, especially when everybody froze like that, but went to 1st to get Durham instead. The next hitter is LaValliere, ground ball, shortstop. Kruk breaks and scores. 2-0 Sox. I was out on strike for 8 months. That was a hell of a walk. Indians come back. Baerga rips one into the corner, and here comes Omar Vizquel. 2-1. Baerga would then score to tie it at 2. Albert Bell had problems Saturday in the outfield, redeemed himself and then some. Safe, but Warren Newson is out. Then later with Frank Thomas on second. It's a long fly ball off the bat to Ventura, and back goes Bell. Oh, what a catch. And he didn't fall down. Martinez starting with Sharp. Nice pitch to Durham. The next batter is LaValliere. Have a seat, Spanky. Take your gang with you. Martinez leaves after 7. In the 8th, 2 on, 2 out. Tie. Ventura off his former teammate Paul Assenmacher, literally. Lance Johnson breaks to the plate and has got it. First earned run off the ex-Sox Assenmacher this year. Chicago wins 3-2. Scott Radinsky finishes up his first save since before he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease and missed the entire 1994 season. The White Sox managed to trim 3 games off their huge deficit to the Tribe. Now it's 14.5. The Indians have now swept the White Sox at home and been swept by them on the road. More importantly, they had been scoring 6 runs a game before their 4-game losing streak started. Since, they are at 2.7 a game with a team batting average of 193. At New York, the Yankees, I'm a jester. Ho, 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 this. Top of the first for Joe Carter, who homered on Saturday and homered on Sunday off Sterling Hitchcock. It's a nightmare. Carter's 8th of the year, and the Jays are up 2-0. Can they break the losing streak? One problem, Pat Henkin has loaded the bases in the 4th, and he's tied at 2, and he's facing Randy Velarde, and he just walked him inside. 7 walks, 8 hits, and 6 2/3. The Yankees are leading 3-2. Bottom 5, they're threatening again. Paul O'Neill. Is Joe Carter a one-man team? He thinks he has to be. He dives on that one. Boggs scores. Deion James, just back from Japan or somewhere, also scored. Then Carter injured his neck, had to leave the game. Meanwhile, this just in, the Devils have moved to Yankee Stadium. Yanks get their 4th straight, also their first 3-game sweep of the season. They've also beaten Toronto 5 straight times for the first time since '86. One more. The Jays have lost 6 in a row, during which they have been outscored by 30 runs. Ouch.
The sport that runs in circles has been running in cycles this year. The first 4 winners on the IndyCar circuit were Jacques Villeneuve, Paul Tracy, Robbie Gordon, and Al Unser Jr. Villeneuve started the cycle once again with a win at Indy. Tracy followed with a win in Milwaukee. Gordon won in Detroit, which meant it was Unser's turn in Portland. The G.I. Joe 200. The 2-time winner jumped out early in the starting flag. Junior passes Jimmy Vasser from 3rd to 2nd. He's behind pole setter Jacques Villeneuve. 24th lap, Unser moves wide. Villeneuve breaks lock. Unser moves into the lead. A scary moment. Methanol fuel leaks on Danny Sullivan's car. The car catches on fire. One member had to be doused with water. Luckily, no injuries reported. Late in the race, controversy sets in. The skid plate flies off Al Unser's car. That would later disqualify him. Unser took the checkered flag. Didn't find out later. He did not win. Jimmy Vasser, your G.I. Joe winner. This is the first DQ of an apparent winner in the IndyCar Series since 1983. That year, Tom Sneva was disqualified in Milwaukee for load ride height. Following the race, Paul Page, who called the race for ESPN, spoke about the controversy.
Dan, during the post-race inspection, which is routine for the winner, Al Unser Jr.'s car was found by officials to have inadequate ground clearance, and therefore he was disqualified.
We found that the car was out of tolerance. The 2-inch rule, that is the dimension above the chassis reference plane, which is the bottom of the car, and the edge of the side pod, found the car to be significantly deficient in that measurement.
Penske Racing has already filed a protest.
Our grounds is we need to take another look at the situation because the pieces that we need to establish that reference plane weren't present on the bottom of the car.
It's not the way I wanted to win my first race, but for the team, on behalf of the team, the Target STP Chip Ganassi team, we'll take the points and the race win.
One thing seems to be certain. As a result of this situation, the race finish will truly be up in the air for some time. I'm Paul Page reporting from Portland. Dan?
Paul, thank you and your crew. So the win and the loss proves costly for Al Unser Jr. He would have taken over the point standings lead. He is a 2-time point standings champ, but he is in at 61 points right now. Jacques Villeneuve and Robbie Gordon both with 81 points.
Coming up, maybe the most familiar earring in the game, but in the Sunday conversation, Barry Bonds tells us he thought of retirement earlier this season after a defensive disaster.
I made 2 mistakes. I didn't see one ball went over my head, but I don't feel anybody has the right to bring up my personal life when it affects my children.
Also still ahead of us on the big show, high fives after 4 RBI for number 3 in season 19. Ding Dong asks not for whom the bell falls, he falls for thee. And we'll have the Street Lugers and the guys who fell off their Nordic tracks. The Extreme Games are next. This is SportsCenter. Would have had the extravagance of Fellini, the feeling of inevitability of Bergman, the shock value of De Palma, and the special effects of Spielberg. Explosions, big bangs, and of course a really big score. Here we are at the Dome, top of the 5th. Sammy Sosa and Shane Reynolds. Fouls one off Derek Bell. What a week he's having. Walked on 5 balls, got caught stealing twice in 1 inning, and just had the sermon on the mound. Because in the 7th, the last issue of defense in the whole game, we had home run derby. Bagwell, 10-6 Astros off Chris Nabholz. Brian Hickerson comes on in a review of every left-hander you've ever seen before. 2 outs in the 8th. Then Alex Gonzalez singles to score Cangelosi and nearly send Hickerson into retirement. 11-4 Astros. Then Brian Hunter ground ball Todd Zeal. He played like a first baseman on that one. Can't come up with it. 12-6 is service scores. 3 batters later, bases loaded. Derek Bell unloads them. We're still in the 8th. We're still with 2 outs. Here comes Hunter. Here comes Biggio. Astros are up 15-6. Jim Riggleman says, Hick, have a nice time out there. Craig Shipley meet Brian Hickerson. Here comes Bagwell. It's still the 8th inning. It's still 2 outs. 16-6. Your next batter is John Cangelosi. Now, what is he going to do? Hit a home run? He hit a home run! Canjo, a 3-run homer in the Astrodome. 19-6.
Everybody hits today.
He can barely reach up to high-five his teammates. Orlando Miller gets our Play of the Day award here by making the last out of the inning, or they'd still be playing. 19-6. It is the Astros record. 19 runs. They also had 19 hits. They got 9 in the 8th, 13 over the last 2. And in the last 23 games now, Bagwell has raised his average from 183 to 252. For the Cubs, by the way, Anthony Young strained a hamstring warming up in the bullpen while Hickerson was in trouble. He's 9-43 lifetime. He may go back on the DL. Sunday at dusk in Dodger Stadium. Hi again, everybody. We're scoreless in the second as you join us. Steve Scarson off the end of the bat. Raul Mondesi. He's the complete player, in my opinion, Dan. Great catch. Possible MVP in the future, I think. Bottom of the second, here he is at bat. Oh, what a swing. Bat speed is unbelievable. It's deep, and I don't think it's playable. 1-0 L.A., and then Candiotti looking for a second consecutive win, which has eluded him, but J.R. Phillips strikes out. Never seen that again or before. 11 strikeouts for Candy. 9th inning. Giants need a man on with Bonds on deck. Mondesi says, no, sir, not here. Nice running catch. Dusty says, I remember when I played the outfield real well like that. The Dodgers' first 4-game sweep of the Giants since April of 1980. 8 of 9 for Los Angeles. Dodgers win to stay tied for first with the Rockies. The Giants now falling below 500. They're in last place. They're 2.5 out.
On June 25th, 1953, Al Kaline made his Tiger debut against Philadelphia. The 18-year-old rookie was inserted as a defensive replacement for center fielder Jim Delsing. 42 years later, the Tigers have another rookie outfielder planning to stay around for a while. 24-year-old Philadelphia native Bob Higginson, making his presence felt against the Brewers. Top 6, bases loaded, Brewers down 1. David Holtz, the base hit, brings in Kevin Seitzer, but Higginson guns down B.J. Surhoff. Higginson, 4 assists in his last 4 games. We're tied at 1. Still that way, top 7, Pat Listash, the former AL Rookie of the Year, the base hit, brings in Jeff Cirillo. 2-1 Milwaukee. Listash, 2 RBIs. 3-2 Brewers, bottom of the 8th. Bases loaded. Phil Garner does not bring in Mike Betters. Stays with Ron right now, facing Alan Trammell. Right here, right now, watching the world wake up from history. Wrong decision. Grand slam. Trammell's first granny since June 21st of 1988. Mike Henneman gets Greg Vaughn, the man aboard in the 9th, picking up his 13th save. 6-3 Tigers as they sweep the 3-game set from the Brewers. The Tigers hit 21 homers on their 13-game homestand, and this was Trammell's 5th career grand slam. Al Kaline is a battery. Bob Higginson will never be. You see what the Spark Plugs have done lately is they've won 12 of their last 16. They moved within 4 games of the division-leading Red Sox. 3 players have been carrying more than their weight since the stretch began on June 9th. Samwell leads the team in batting at .342. Curtis and Cecil share the team lead with 36 RBIs. The first-place Red Sox playing in the yard.
First and second.
Second inning, 2-0 Orioles. Cal Ripken against Von Eshelman. Oriole Cam. 3-run homer, 6th on the year for Cal. O's go up 5-0. Sox threatening, 2-minute board, 3rd inning. Arthur Rhodes facing John Valentin, and he gets a check swing with Mo Vaughn. Likewise, a Vaughn ended the inning with a strikeout. 3rd inning, Greg Zahn, Rick Dempsey's nephew. From one Oriole catcher to another. The base hit brings in Kevin Bass, Jeff Jeff Manto. 7-0 Orioles. The only bright spot for Boston, 4th inning, Jose Canseco. Go on.
Jose drives one to deep left center.
I don't know where it landed. Jose doesn't know. I don't think anybody else does. 7-1 Orioles. The onslaught continued. Frankie Rodriguez, is he the new closer? Palmeiro with the RBI. 10-1 Orioles. Arthur Rhodes got the victory. Arthur there. Arthur. I'm talking to you. Baltimore manager Phil Regan said his team's goal is to be 4 or 5 games back by the All-Star break. It will be difficult. Before the game, the O's put Gene Harris on the DL. After the game, they placed hot-hitting Jeff Manto on the DL. He pulled a hamstring earlier in the week. The team placed Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald on the DL. Keith?
For years, the advertising slogan of the sponsors of this week's LPGA Tour stop, ShopRite Supermarkets, was a very bad, corny rendition of the can-can. However, for Betsy King, stuck since November of '93, just one tournament win away from automatic entry into the Women's Golf Hall of Fame, the symbolism was perfect. Can she win? Maybe she can. Also, there was the chance for double coupons. She was thinking about it. 8 players, and you just memorized their names subliminally. We're within 2 shots of the lead when King hit her second on 17. Approach shot 15 feet from the cup, and then Beth Daniel already in. King, oh yeah, takes the lead. King controls her own fate on 18, checking out all the angles. I'm way downtown. Bang. And celebrate. She's in the Hall of... It doesn't work so well outdoors for some reason, the champagne. The one word is just relief, said the new Hall of Famer after she ended the 41-tournament drought. She was then asked, paper or plastic? Muffin Spencer Devlin tied for 7th. The top-ranked LPGA player in 84, 89, and 93. She had gone winless all of last year and this. Not since 83 had she not won at least one tournament per year. Now that is all over, and Betsy King is in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Still to come on the program, are they going to Nashville? Are they staying in New Jersey? The moving story of the Devils when SportsCenter does in About Face. Also on the big show menu, the Greater Hartford Open finds the Shark in another sink or swim final round. Back to baseball. In Seattle, the Mariners held a tag sale at the expense of the Angels' Tim Salmon. And in Oakland, Ricky gets into trouble, not with his legs, but with his hand. That story next. This is SportsCenter.
Men who played Major League Baseball since 1876, and you alphabetized it, you would find the name of Chris Bosio of the Seattle Mariners right next to that of Sean Bosky of the California Angels. Apart from that unlikely fact, they were teammates last season. They each had 5 wins this season, and they pitched against each other Sunday at the Kingdome, which is where we take you. Bosio, Jim Edmonds. Bosio, kick save, and a beauty. Doug Strange to pick up at third. They're not going to get him. He's out at first. Bosio, though, would leave the game 2 innings later, stiffness in the leg, and a contract with the New Jersey Devils. Now Bosky's problems. Mariners have runners at first and second, bottom 2. Gary Thurman back in the big time. Singles to right, here's Strange. Mariners lead 1-0. Tied at 2 in the third. Man on at second. J.T. Snow with the slasher. And they're not going to get Greg Myers because he gets himself. Angels take a 3-2 lead. He was all right, but the slide was terrible. Angels up 7-5 in the 9th. Lee Smith facing Strange again. Tony Phillips, speaking of Strange, forward, backwards. Great catch, the game's over. Lee Smith's 19th consecutive save. Coincidentally, Jim Edmonds got a base hit to extend his batting streak to 19 consecutive games. Sean Bosky gets his 6th for the record. The alphabetical list is Rick Bassetti, Bosio, Bosky, Thad Bosley, and Dick Bosman. Dick Bosman, the pitching coach of the Rangers, on the left. He said, yeah, that's right, alphabetically, that's where I am. That's too spooky. Is Harley Boss of the 33 Indians around? Ricky Anderson and Stan Javier are around in the first when Mark McGuire singles off Bosman's charge Kevin Gross. Ricky beats the Greer throw to the plate. Stan Javier apparently is safe at third, but there's a man out on the play. How come? Watch the replay. Henderson touched the live ball, interfering with the play, and Ken Kaiser tells Tony La Russa, that's a no-no. You can't do that. So, there it goes. Third inning, bases loaded. Ruben Sierra singles to right. Here comes Javier. Here comes Geronimo Baroa. Nobody touches Mr. Spalding, and the A's go up 3-zip. That was enough for Steve Ontiveros. Mark McLemore have a seat, one of 6 strikeouts. The A's hang on to win 6-2 as Ontiveros wins his 8th game. Texas had won 5 of 6 versus Oakland this year. Clark and Gonzalez with RBI doubles, but it was not enough as the A's prevail thanks to the Eck. And the Royals and Twins were washed out in Kansas City. A doubleheader on September 18th. You remember those. By the way, Chico leaned phone manager Bob Boone of the Royals Sunday morning and said he was going to St. Louis. Added Booney. He left a number.
The final pairing of the final round of the Greater Hartford Open either brought back memories of 1984 or 1994. It was 11 years ago when Fuzzy Zeller and Greg Norman squared off for an 18-hole playoff to decide the U.S. Open. 10 years later, Zeller and Norman were the final twosome at the Tournament Players Championship. On Sunday, Zeller and Norman were paired up for the Greater Hartford Open.
You can't mess around today, buddy. You're live. You have to do a good job behind this camera. You understand me? Huh?
Don't let him see you sweat, Fuzz. The Shark lurking on the horizon. Here's Fuzzy catching and passing Norman at the 13th, the birdie putt. 1 stroke ahead of Norman, but at the 15th, Fuzzy would like to have this one back. He's probably still replaying this one. Lays up short and would have problems. Norman steps up. The eagle is landed. Goes to 14 under. Fuzzy at 17, second shot. You can hear the crowd. They know it's Drinksville. Double bogey, finished at 10 under. Here's Norman to save par. Finally got one to drop. Norman walks to the 18th. Here's the support. The game's best golfer taps in for the win. Despite shooting a final round of 71, Norman wins the GHO, a tournament he lost by 1 stroke to David Frost last year. Hugs all around, including from his playing partner, Fuzzy Zoeller. The win raised Norman's earnings for the month of June to just over $780,000. Norman's 14th career PGA title. He joins Peter Jacobsen and Vijay Singh as the two-time winners on the tour. Zoeller was bidding for his first tour title in 9 years.
It is probably the first good news for the long-delayed, almost long-forgotten attempt at big-time pro soccer in this country. Alexi Lalas, the red-goateed defensive star of the 1994 U.S. World Cup team, announced Sunday he will join U.S. Major League Soccer for its opener in May of next year. Lalas, who will continue with the Padova team of the Italian League this winter, said, "If with my participation I can help the game of soccer in this country, it's great." He was participating at his alma mater, Rutgers, in the final of the U.S. Cup against Colombia and nearly headed it in and then said, "I missed it by that much." How much? By that much. 0-0 game now into the second. Brad Friedel playing well in goal. Great save on the left hand on the header by Arboleda of Colombia. Still no score in the first half. Tensions running high. That's a beard. It's real hair, Alexei tells him. Then in extra time, all I want is your extra time and your head save and a beauty. Jorge Bermudez went for the top corner. Mike Burns, the play of the game, staves it off. 0-0, or in soccer terminology, 0-0. Good news, the tie clinches the cup for the American team. Better news, because it was scoreless and no Colombian player put the ball in his own goal, there will probably not be any Colombian soccer assassinations like last time. It's the world's game. Coming up, Bonds, Barry Bonds. Superstar, controversial figure, just misunderstood. He'll speak for himself in the Sunday conversation later. This is
will not be ducking for cover, but they are going to protect themselves in the line of fire. Starting on Monday, the judges will be using wraparound goggles in the case of stray serves from the big hitters. A pair of heavy hitters, Marc Rosset, a 1991 Wimbledon champ, Michael Stich, met in the finals of the ATP tournament in Halle, Germany, and it was a beautiful day in Halle. Stich took the first set, second set. Stich near court. Great drop shot. And tennis. Applause. One of 4 second set match points. Rosset with the ace took the second set tiebreak, 13-11. Stich up 5-4 third set. Rosset hangs tough. The winner, we go to tiebreaker. Third set tiebreaker. Stich, another great drop shot, setting up another match point. Looked like they're playing in somebody's backyard. Stich cannot convert. Rosset with the match point at 9-8. He can convert. No deposit, no return. Rosset wins. This marks Stich's 25th final, his 5th in a row, but he has never been able to repeat any of his 15 career titles. Stich is the 9th seed at Wimbledon. Rosset is 10th.
The 1984 Philadelphia Stars won the USFL championship and then moved to Baltimore. The first 2 champs of the ABA won and moved. The Dallas Texans took the AFL crown in '62, then they became the Kansas City Chiefs. But no team in a league that was older than 3 years has ever celebrated a championship in its last game before moving somewhere else. Well, we may have to amend that. The newly crowned Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils could next take the ice as the Nashville Spartans or something. But there are even more questions about this team. They could stay, but many of their stars could go. Last offseason, Devils GM Lou Lamoriello defied his critics by opting for continuity over change. He was right. He won the Cup. The 1995 Stanley Cup champion Devils may be headed to Nashville. They may stay in New Jersey, but it's highly unlikely that in either place they will remain intact. The most likely part of the franchise to leave, assistant coach Larry Robinson. He came to Jersey with the head man, Jacques Lemaire. Now he is a prime candidate to take over the reins of his own hockey team in L.A. or Chicago or Miami or almost anywhere. You get the picture. As the #1 assistant, Robinson oversees the Devils defense corps, which itself may be thinning out. Longtime Devil Bruce Driver is an unrestricted Group 3 free agent able to sign with anybody without compensation. But with many good young defensemen such as Chris McAlpin on their AHL champion farm team, there is a chance Driver will not be in New Jersey next season, nor Nashville, for that matter. Defensive center Bobby Carpenter is also an unrestricted free agent. He could be lost to a team looking for the final piece to its puzzle. Don't forget, defensive centerman Craig McTavish jumped the Rangers bandwagon for Philly not long after the Rangers won Lord Stanley's Chalice last year. Speaking of those Rangers, last year's championship earned Mark Messier and Mike Richter big pay raises. Some high-profile Devils could expect the same this year. Goaltending sensation Martin Brodeur played this season for the league minimum $140,000. He is now a restricted free agent. He will get plenty of big money offers. Reports already that the first of those will be from St. Louis. The Devils do have the right to match. Chris Terreri, New Jersey's other goalie, is also a restricted free agent, but considering Brodeur's asking price, two top-flight goaltenders may just be too rich for Lamoriello's blood. Also on the Group 2 restricted free agent list are playoff standouts Bill Guerin and Scott Niedermayer, as well as defenseman Sean Chambers acquired in the deadline trade from Tampa. Jacques Lemaire won the Stanley Cup, taking a page from his mentor, Scotty Bowman. Next year, he may just prove how much he's really learned. By the way, separated at birth, Larry Robinson, Dennis Hopper. About Lemaire, he becomes the third of Scotty Bowman's former players to win a Stanley Cup as a coach, but the first, as he did in beating Detroit, to beat his old boss at his own game. Okay?
We go to the extremes when SportsCenter returns, where you can call someone a loser and they won't be offended. Also on the menu, we are heading off to camp. The plays of the week, camp style. And the big show returns in a moment.
Golf, Alpharetta, Georgia. Hello. On the 14th green, Bob Murphy's caddy, giving him the bend in the pin. From way downtown, he hooks it, and he slices it, and he does everything. It's a golf shot. Oh, Noonan. Just wanted to work in every cliche we could. Moves into a tie with the lead with Hale Irwin. And then on 18, here's Hale needing to nail the approach. Looks good, but the green unkind. Bing. Irwin would bogey the hole and drop one back. Murph shows Irwin how to lay it up on 18. Murphy would birdie this hole and win $180,000 over Irwin and Bruce Summerhays by 2 strokes.
The Plays of the Week staff has their backpacks and their bug spray in hand as they head off to summer camp. This misadventure can only mean you won't be seeing former Brave Rick Camp, the Royals' Vince Coleman Lantern, or the Astros' Jeff Sleeping Bagwell.
Yeah, you won't see Canoe to Rockney, nor Art Mahaffey, Art Howe, Harry Kraft, or Clarence Kraft. That would be Arts and Crafts. But you will see the Plays of the Week. It's that season of the year. Time to head off to summer camp.
And Keith and I will be your counselors on the Camp Big Show edition of...
Good morning, campers. I'm Keith, your head counselor. Counselor Dan and I wanted to make you aware of today's activities. First thing this morning will be archery and riflery.
No shot. Here's Chambers. Scores!
Beautifully struck there, right at the flag.
Watch out for this one. It's the shot of his life.
And don't forget the importance of distance when you're out on the range.
Fair hands. What a play by Bordick. Ground ball. Caceres with the flip to Howard. Look at this.
Then we'll participate in climbing exercises.
He took a home run away from David Juster.
Back. And he holds one in. Edmonds might run out of room up against the wall, and he grabs it. No, he didn't.
Followed, of course, by Arts and Crafts.
We know arts and crafts is not your favorite activity, but please, calm yourselves.
Then we'll take a break for rest hour. In the afternoon, we'll hit the pool for diving lessons.
Terrific diving catch. A diving catch. Justice made the catch. Makes a diving play.
And this evening, we'll sing some campfire songs. Kumbaya. Kumbaya. The New Jersey Devils are the 1995 Stanley Cup champions.
Plays of the Week is brought to you by Isuzu, makers of incredible four-wheel drives.
How much do you pay for a minute of long-distance?
Stream Games Reports is brought to you by Mountain Dew, with a subtle reminder to do the dew.
And now, New World Order.
Okay, look, when I worked for a local station that was carrying the Olympics one year, I must have gotten 100 phone calls from people who wanted to know when the Olympic bowling would start. Next summer, Atlanta, ballroom dancing will be a demonstration sport at that Olympiad. So, water skiing for people who don't have water skis? Why not? I mean, really, what the heck difference does it make to you if these guys want to do this? Day one of the Extreme Games. Now, Billy Berzosa, the barefoot water ski jumper, super glued a cut on his heel. He's from Rhode Island, which apparently explains everything. And he took off backwards to compensate for the sore foot. And, okay, Ron Scarpa, whose name is an anagram for Scrapa, scraped his own foot, finished second. Scarpa and the other skiers hit up to 42 miles an hour into the ramp. Scarpa and Justin Sears, the Australian, they invented this sport. He soars through the air with the greatest of ease and survives to tell, well, maybe his children about it or somebody. So off the heavy betting on Scarpa, it's Sears proving the craftsman in this one. Now, what else do you want me to say here? My name is Paul. There's no reason to be afraid. Among Monday's highlights, downhill mountain biking, another shot at sky surfing, and the dual street luge final, where some are destined from birth to succeed. Those would be the born losers.
Still to come on the show, we span the globe in search of today's best, and of course, gratuitous violence. Constantino Rocca was the leader heading into the final round of the French Open, but not for long. Oops, there's a ball in there. And then, once he got through with the first, it got worse the second. Day belonged to Paul Broadhurst. Started the day 4 shots off the lead. That is nothing but the bottom of the cup. Then on 15-second shot, over the water and a safe landing. Enemy planes flying overhead, I think. On 18, the birdie for a course record, of course. That's why we showed it. Broadhurst wins, and he wins comfortably. Put that in an overhead bin when he goes home. Broadhurst was the European Tour's Rookie of the Year in '89. In 1990, Broadhurst shot the only 9-under 63 in the history of the British Open. Soon thereafter, his career crashed. He actually contemplated retirement. He wins the French Open by 8 shots. Still to come on the show, our Sunday chat with Barry Bonds, who says he talked about retiring earlier this season.
No amount of money in the whole wide world at that moment in time was, if I didn't love baseball, I would have quit.
We got to make a big impression on all the Extreme Games athletes coming into town. They got people coming in from Australia, Japan, France, New Zealand, Hungary. Bjorn Dunkerbeck, for instance. Not only is he the #1 ranked professional windsurfer in the world, he's born in Denmark. He lives in Spain. Top it, top it, top it.
The Extreme Games, sponsored in part by ACG by Nike.
Do not become a cynic. That's a sure sign of physical and spiritual atrophy. For those of you who would seek adventure, take heart. There are yet places that speak to our souls. And to the dim-eyed know-it-alls, they will say this: I have a surprise for you.
He's chasing a dream. She's swimming for the gold. He's training for the largest sporting event in 1995. On July 1st, 7,000 athletes from over 140 countries will come together to compete. The 1995 Special Olympic World Games, a showcase of athletic excellence. Coming to ESPN July 4th. There's a winner in every one of us.
Sunday Conversation is brought to you by Sprint Business. We help business do more business.
Mention the name Barry Bonds, and you can expect to receive a variety of descriptions: talented, temperamental, tormented, spoiled, overrated, an individual star in a team game. In our Sunday Conversation, one of the more colorful players in the game talks about winning an unprecedented 4th MVP, his place in history, his relationship with the fans. Chris Myers provides the questions. Barry Bonds offers up the answers in a candid conversation.
Kelly Stinnett hit a ball in San Francisco that you thought was a home run. You stood there, as is your style, when one is hit out, and it ended up not being a home run. Runs scored, fans booed, and then there were comments afterwards that you made that you later apologized for.
Well, I was just warming up, and I'm listening to this alimony, you know, and my son's in the stands, and my daughter is in the stands, and fans are sitting there saying, you know, you da-da-da-da-da, you, oh, I hope she gets all your money, and, you know, and some people are nice about it, and some people are not.
But your children are hearing this.
But my children are listening to this because I'm on deck, and my kids are right behind me, behind home plate. So I get in the outfield at that time, and I'm running out there, and I'm standing there, and my mind just drifted for a moment, and because I was upset. And when the ball was hit, I didn't see it because I drifted off. And then by the time I looked up, it was already over my head. And I turned around, and I was getting booed, but my mind was just elsewhere. And then I wanted to make it up for him, because then we go through the whole process of the game. I get up, I hit a ball. Everyone, I thought it was gone, including I. And I have the same routine as I always do. End up hitting the bottom of the fence. Booed again. I end up with a single. I made 2 mistakes. You know, I didn't see one ball went over my head, but I don't feel anybody has the right to bring up my personal life when it affects my children.
Did you feel insulted when that booing, that maybe people were questioning your hustle?
I felt that it was, I felt that no amount of money in the whole wide world at that moment in time was, if I didn't love baseball, I would have quit right then and there. I would have, if it wasn't the fact of that I had to look at me in the mirror and say, did I complete everything I wanted to complete in baseball, I think I would have quit.
You thought about quitting at that moment?
That moment. That was the first time that I really wanted to just, I don't play baseball for money. I play baseball because I want to be the best baseball player to play the game of baseball. I want to be compared to the Babe Ruths and the Mickey Mantles and the Willie Mazes. I don't want to be forgotten.
Is there that unhappiness enough to the point that it maybe if you had won a World Series, then you might have walked away?
There's also individual compliments, too, that I have to fulfill for myself.
What would those be?
I'm not too far from 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases. I'm not too far from even 500. I'm not too far from things that no player's ever done before.
During the strike, reportedly you asked for alimony to be cut back or cut down. Right away, people who weren't even baseball fans said, what kind of guy is this making all this money and taking from his wife and children, in essence?
If they want to know the truth, they can read it. It's in black and white. Court files are public property. You can look at the court files and see the truth. My wife, I've never wanted to take her home away from her. She still lives in the same house, still has the children, go to the same top schools, and I pay a chunk of child support and I pay a chunk of alimony, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Who do you call for advice?
Bill Cosby. I'd hate to say that.
The comedian, Bill Cosby, an actor.
Yeah,
right?
Bill Cosby. I mean, I think the best advice I can ever get from a person outside of my parents is Bill Cosby. Anytime that I have a problem or something's wrong, I talk to Bill Cosby.
Is there anything you can mention real quick that he may have helped you with, or you went to him and he said?
You know, there's a lot of issues going on, you know, with the strike and everything, and Bill Cosby gave me advice to stay out of it, keep my mouth shut, and that's exactly what I did. My dad's so hard on me all the time.
You go to him for advice
all the time, and I'm not meaning like my dad's hard on me in a sense of, you know, in a bad sense, but he's like, you know, God, you're just like right there. You can win this 4th MVP. You can do it if you want to. I said, I don't have no one to compete against, Dad. There's no one in baseball for me, really. I compete against me. I'm fighting against myself. If I hit 30 home runs and somebody else hits 30 home runs, their year's better than my year because it's consistent. It's like Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn hits 340. Who cares? If Tony Gwynn always hits 340, you know? And I'm trying to take myself to a different level.
Sunday Conversation was brought to you by Sprint Business. We help business do more business.
Coming up on Up Close, Monday at 6 p.m. after just preceding, the early SportsCenter. Barry Bonds, the full interview with Chris Myers. Please watch.
Ah, summer, beaches, barbecues, fun in the sun, swimsuits. Oh no!
Does your swimsuit seem to shrink over the winter? Well, Nordic Track, the original total body workout, can help you shape up and shed those extra pounds. Announcing our first ever summer shape-up sale on the world's best aerobic exerciser. Save up to $150 off select Nordic Track skier models. Why Nordic Track? It's been delivering proven fitness results for 20 years. Nordic Track's total body aerobic exercise shapes and tones. Plus, its easy natural gliding motion is non-impact, so it's easy on your knees and joints. And Nordic Track can help you lose weight by raising your metabolism. In fact, 7 in 10 who purchased a Nordic Track to lose weight lost an average of 17 pounds, and 80% kept it off for over a year. So you'll shape up for those summer days and stay in shape all winter long. Call now to order and save up to $150 on select Nordic Track models. Don't wait, because the sands of summer wait for no one, and neither will this limited time sale. Call now.
Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, Charles Williams takes on Marquis Sosa in an NABF Light Heavyweight Championship. Top Rank Boxing on ESPN.
Webster's defines best as excelling all others, so here's today's excelling. From Portugal, the Banja Cola 1000. Slow down, there's no road. Slow down, there's no road. There's no what? I'd like to see it again. Yeah, we're safe to say, and he is too. He's okay. Spanish Cup final in Madrid. Deportivo La Coruna in Valencia. Heavy rainfall. Valencia hits the free kick to tie the game. Celebration ensues. And quite a celebration it is. Let's get dirty. Mom will love to watch these. Then the heavy stuff came. All hail. The game is halted with 11 minutes to play. Tied at 1. Ouch. Ouch. Each. They'll finish it on Tuesday.
Today's Best is brought to you by the Kodak Color Watch System. Great film developing begins where you see the Color Watch seal.